Hi there, Malcolm here with my 310th Booktube video. And today I'm going to bring you all things Terry Pratchett. Now, regular viewers on my channel know I am a big fan of science fiction, with the likes of Harry Harrison, Bob Shaw and Alistair Reynolds being what I consider to be up there amongst the top tier science fiction authors, to name a few. However, there is one author who, to me, outshines all of the rest, and that is the greatly missed Sir Terry Pratchett. Best known for his Discworld series, which are satirical, pseudo-fantasy stories set on a flat planet that rests on the shoulders of 4 elephants, who in turn stand on a giant spacefaring turtle. There are dozens of books in the series and can be split into several different categories, from witches, the Night Watch, wizards, the anthropomorphic personification of death, among others. He's also written some actual science fiction, some short stories. He's also written some other non-Discworld based stories. But what is a common theme across all of his writing is his inherent understanding of humanity, and it's what makes people act and say the things that they do. Whether it's through ignorance or misunderstanding, hate, misplaced compassion, or because it's the right thing to do. His stories generally make you laugh, cry, or nod your head in agreement. So I'll do a quick bookcase tour. I'll take you downstairs to our Terry Pratchett shrine. So off we go. So there it is, modelled by Miller. Right, so starting from the very top, we have a wonderful picture of the Discworld on the back of Great Atuin. And then moving down, we have a few weird cuddlies with a Christmas dinosaur, a red squirrel, a Battenberg and Jammy Dodger. He's fallen over. And they themselves are on a slipcase for Tiffany Aching's Guide to Being a Witch. There you go. And that's by Rhianna Pratchett and Gabriel Kent. So technically not a Terry Pratchett, but based very much on his world. Let's just put these guys back. And under that is the Long Earth series that he did with Stephen Baxter. That's really good. At least they start really good. They get progressively less interesting as we go on. Certainly, I don't think Terry really had much to do with the later books. Behind our travel clock, we have Penguin Modern Classic edition of Night Watch. They've finally acknowledged that he has actually done literature. Most recent release is a little book based on his talk he did, Shaking Hands with Death. It's just a talk about the right to die. Tony Robinson actually did on his behalf. And behind that, we have the Good Omens TV companion to the TV show. It's the first season, I believe. Let's put that back. Over here we have an orangutan mug. In no way affiliated with Discworld, but ook. And under that we have The World of Pooh, Mrs. Bradshaw's Handbook, Dodger's Guide to London, and The Ultimate Discworld Companion, a must-have accompaniment book to the Discworld. And these three are just funny little extra things, either from in-world. I believe The World of Pooh is Sam Vibes' son's favourite book. Something I really need to sit down and read at some point. And then over here we have Where's My Cow? A fun little picture book, very much in universe to Discworld. And one I actually did read to my little children, and so when Sam Vibes read to his. And then the Quite Nice and First Act of Good Omens script book, again for the TV show. And then we have A Stroke of the Pen. He wrote a whole bunch of short stories for newspapers under pseudonyms, and so he very meticulously went through all these short stories, amongst others, and discovered that certain ones had a certain writing style, and worked out that they were most likely written by Terry Pratchett, and so they were collected. Series of short stories and letters and things written by Terry Pratchett. And then we have the Tiffany Aching series, attempted to be in order, but due to different publication styles. You have We Free Men, Wintersmith, Hatful of Sky, I Shall Wear Midnight, and The Shepherd's Crown, the bittersweet final Discworld book. And these are YA books, but suitable for all ages really. But snuck at the top there is his first YA book, The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents. A reverse twist on The Pied Piper of Hamlet, where the rats are in on the deal. Yeah, and then we have the main series, started with Colour of Magic, and they're like fantastic. The duology that kicks off the series, arguably the least interesting books of the lot. And everyone says, don't start here. Whatever you do, do not start here. And then everyone does. I started there. They are very much a tour of Discworld rather than anything with plot in it. but very entertaining for that. And yeah, I agree, they're not the strongest books of the series, but further books do make a bit more sense having read them. So all of those along there. I've got a R2-D2 there that sings. And of course the series continues down on the next shelf, all the way along to Raising Steam, which is the last of the main Discworld books, not counting the Tiffany Aching series. And above that is A Blink of the Screen, another selection of short stories. Terry Pratchett, A Life with Footnotes by Rob Wilkins, his biography, which I need to sit down and read at some point. The Wit and Wisdom of Discworld, great quotes from most of the books. Nice little one to dip into, find some funny anecdotes and quotes, and very quite deep and meaningful ones as well. And then further down we have Nanny Ogg's cookbook, which has a whole bunch of recipes that you can follow to make your own things. But also, because it's in a universe written by Nanny Ogg, there's a certain level of humour in there as well, which is fantastic. There were 4 maps: the Discworld map, Death's Domain, Tourist Guide to Lanka, and the Streets of Ankh-Morpork. These are great, and each one has a little short story type thing about how the map was created, again in the universe. The Pocket Essential, Terry Pratchett. This one is a reasonably early guide to Terry Pratchett, giving you a lowdown of some of the books he's written and what they're about. A quiz book, The Weirdest Link, the original Discworld Companion, or the updated version of the original Discworld Companion, of course, is now surpassed by the Ultimate Discworld Companion, which came out once it was all complete, and the Unseen University Challenge, another quiz book on the world. And there's 4 Science of Discworld books. These are much heavier reads. Alternate chapters are in universe and written by Terry Pratchett. The rest are written by Ian Stewart and Jack Cohen, and look at the development of the planet, evolution, not so much the science of Discworld, but science in general, but using the Discworld as a allegory for how it all works. I've read the first 3. Judgment Day is the next one I need to try and do. It's coming up soon. And this is the Tesco's exclusive edition with an extra chapter, which is pretty cool. Slip of a Keyboard, another short story, letters collection. And then some of these earlier works. Terry Pratchett wanted to be a science fiction author, not a fantasy author. So we have Strata and the Dark Side of the Sun, which are all right. And I can't quite see that one, but that's The Carpet People, which is the first book he wrote. He wrote it as a teenager, then went back as a more established author and fixed it a bit. That's really good as well. Then the book he wrote with Neil Gaiman, Good Omens. Then we have the Johnny Maxwell trilogy, Only You Can Save Mankind, Johnny and the Dead, Johnny and the Bomb. Highly recommend that series if you haven't come across that one. Then there's the Bromeliad or Gnomes trilogy, Truckers, Diggers and Wings, about little borrower-sized people who live in an apartment store and they find out that the department store is going to be demolished. What do they do? Now, these are works he did when he was much younger, probably working as a journalist at the time. Short, fun, silly short stories. I think one of them ended up as a Christmas special animated thing on the TV. So we have Dragons of Crumbling Castle, Witch's Vacuum Cleaner, The Time-Travelling Caveman, and Father Christmas's Fake Beard, all of which are one story within the collection themselves. And you can also see sort of the inklings of stories to come. So there's certainly an early version of The Carpet People, among other things. Arguably the best book he ever did was Nation. My wife actually participated in a Q&A session online and asked him what is the book he's most proud of, and he responded with Nation. And under that is another standalone set in a version of London called Dodger. So this is The Artful Dodger. That's really good as well, and long overdue a reread. So there we go, that is almost everything that Terry Pratchett ever put his hand to. I have not got or read The Unadulterated Cat yet, so that's something I do need to fix. So there is our Terry Pratchett shrine. I think we're certainly looking to find a slightly taller bookcase to perhaps just fit under that light there. We'll move the picture up, obviously, just to give him a better display. A few things that didn't feature on that bookcase are our own Death of Rats. This is a figurine from the Clarecraft collection. You can see that, but in his hand he is holding the Death of Fleas. We've had to put him in a cabinet with a door because he kept getting knocked off by various cats and humans, and I had to glue his skull back together a couple of times. Poor thing. An oversized The Last Hero. There's a smaller one on the bookcase, but it's one of these stories that is wonderfully illustrated as well. The illustrated screenplay to Hogfather, the first of the 2-part movies that came out on Sky. Highly recommend watching this one for Christmas. Brilliant stuff. Basically the equivalent of Father Christmas goes missing and Death dons the red outfit and stuffs a jumper up his front to take on the role. The complete Discworld Atlas, another map with a full-blown pull-out atlas, which I'm not going to take over the entire room getting out, because folding those things up is always a bugger, of general and descriptive geography, which together with new maps and gazetteer forms a complete guide to our world and all it encompasses. So again, this is done in universe, as it were. There are also some graphic novels of the books. So we have The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic, Mort, and the always fantastic Guards. Brilliant stuff. There's also one for small gods, but I've not managed to get my hands on that one. And we also have the DVD for the collected animated soul music series that they did. That is highly worth watching if you can find a copy of that one. And we're still on the lookout for the Weird Sisters one that they also did. That's also brilliant, but finding it's a nightmare. As well as the other two-part films, The Colour of Magic, which was a blend of The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic, just to give it some plot. That was quite good. And Going Postal, introducing Moist von Lipwig. One of the later stories in the series, but well worth a look, if you haven't already seen them. If you've never read Terry Pratchett before, I highly recommend giving him a go. Yes, there's quite a lot of books there that can be quite daunting, which is why trying something like Nation, which is a standalone, does give a very good introduction of his writing style and humour. There's obviously the short story collections, although those are generally for much younger readers, and some of his earlier, slightly unpolished works. The Discworld itself is a series I will read and reread and reread all the way forevermore. I will never stop reading a Discworld book. I love his humour, and I also love his poignant, gloves-off dig at humanity, and the angry things he has written about us have only become more and more relevant and poignant as what's going on in this world right now continues to unfold. So there you go, that is Sir Terry Pratchett and why I read him, with a bookcase tour thrown in for good measure. Have you read any of his works? What's your favourite one? With all the different editions of Discworld that have come out now, what's your favourite edition? There's also some great versions recorded for Audible, which I highly recommend if you don't fancy reading them with your eyeballs. It still counts as reading. So there you go, comments down below please, but as usual, if you have nothing nice to say then please keep it yourself. Thank you, don't forget to like, subscribe and other usual things if you want, and until next time, see you later.